This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
It is Thursday, May 15th, day 3 of Donald Trump's whirlwind tour through the Middle East, which will be a whole different place when Trump is done here. He's busy resetting, recalibrating things in the Middle East, and it's just historic on every level. We will get to that. He's in the UAE as we speak, again, signing deals, bringing in billions of business into the United States and making war less likely. That is the underlying goal here. Let's just all get along, and it is brilliant. We'll talk about that. It is day 61 of the Democrats' campaign to bring a wife-beating, human trafficking MS-13 gang member back to the United States. It's never going to happen, but they are never going to give it up. They just can't quit Kilmar Abrego Garcia. It is an amazing thing to watch. They are all in on bringing this gangbanger back to Maryland. It's never going to happen. That's just not a possibility, but they can't stop. They can't quit you, Kilmar. They love you. You are their guy, and they're not going to forget you. It is also day 365, the 1-year anniversary of just an amazing announcement, an amazing video put out by then President Joe Biden. Now, the more we learn about Biden, the more these Democrats with press passes put out their books and their scoops about how they just didn't see this coming. They didn't know Joe Biden was impaired, infirmed, struggling in the throes of dementia. How were they supposed to know? KJP told us he was tip-top, and we believed her. This is hilarious to watch. We're going to get to the latest from Jake Tapper, but I do think we have to look back 1 year, because what a year it's been. I love, anniversaries. I like marking the 1-year anniversary of things like this, moments like this. Here was Joe Biden, who knows where he is right now. Who knows if we'll ever see him again. I think Democrats have made it pretty clear that they don't want you out there, Joe. They don't want you doing interviews. They don't want you on the speaker circuit. They certainly don't want you campaigning for them. They're embarrassed. It was a shameful 4 years, and they would just like to forget it, Joe. So enjoy your final years, months, days on this planet, but they really don't want you around. Here is Joe 1 year ago, staring into the camera and reading the teleprompter. Go ahead, let's watch.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. Since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
He was free on Wednesdays because the Biden weaponized DOJ and all his attack dogs, all his foot soldiers had Trump tied up in court every other day. So he made a little joke, said, maybe we can meet on Wednesdays. How long was that video, Ironhead? I just counted 7 or 8 edits.
That would be 14 seconds, Gerry.
How many seconds?
14.
14 seconds with 7 or 8 edits. He could barely do that. He looked so uncomfortable. That guy was running for president 1 year ago, and the entire Democrat Party, the entire mainstream media was behind him. They were supporting him. They were hoping he could stay upright for a few more months and stay in the White House. Once again, the biggest political scandal we have ever seen. How anyone could trust the media again is beyond me. This should be their death knell. It should be the death of Jake Tapper and Joe Scarborough, every one of these lying snakes, these scoundrels who did their best to carry this corpse over the finish line. And now that he's out, now that he's no longer useful, they're cashing in. They're doing their mea culpas of sorts. Let's get to Jake Tapper before we get to Trump's trip. I want to talk about Trump's trip because he's he's not getting enough credit. We're not putting this into proper perspective. But Jake Tapper, I'm fascinated with this. A man, how old is Jake Tapper? Guy's been around, been in the business for like 30 years. He's going to make some money off this book, I assume. Probably already got a big cash advance. It wasn't worth it. This is a man like dousing himself with gasoline and lighting himself on fire for a few bucks. I don't think he's hurting for money, but he is doing his best to cash in. And he should be, the makeup people at CNN should dress him up in a clown makeup, clown mask every day when he comes on air, because even his friends, supporters, even his fellow Democrats, even they know he is a clown. Even they know this is absurd at every level. A man who day in and day out, nightly on his TV show, participated gleefully in the cover-up of Joe Biden's cognitive decline. He was front row center, as we played you the video a few times, him just excoriating Laura Trump for mocking Biden's gaffes, saying, how do you think it makes children with a stutter feel? Joe Biden doesn't have a stutter. Joe Biden has dementia, and we all knew it. We saw it. You saw it, Jake. You chose to cover it up, and he did it every night. There's plenty of montages out there of Jake Tapper over the last 4 years lying, covering up for Joe Biden, for the Biden team, for the Democrats. He did it until, let me pick a date out of thin air, November 5th. That's when it changed. That's when he decided, well, it didn't work. I didn't get my guy elected. He's out. What can I do now? I know what I'll do. I'll slap my name on a book that this Axios guy wrote, and I'll make some money. And I'll tell people it wasn't my fault. It was the fault of the White House. It was Karine Jean-Pierre and Jill Biden and the Democrats in Congress. They lied. What was I supposed to do? I trusted them. You are such a freaking liar, Jake Tapper. You knew they were lying. You helped them lie. You put them on your show knowing they would lie and knowing it would protect your candidate, Joe Biden. And now you weasel, you snake, you're trying to make money. You're trying to act as if you're breaking news. And it's unethical on so many levels. I've talked about this for a couple of days now, but we'll get back into it. Here's Jake Tapper yesterday doing one thing above all others, selling a book, trying to make money. He doesn't care that he's breaking news, and he doesn't care that he's an alleged newsman. He's a book salesman now, and he's using his time and all his energy and his 1 hour or whatever. He's got 2 hours on CNN to sell a book and make money. This is, again, unethical on any level, and it's so revealing. This is who he is. Let's just watch a little bit of him humping this ridiculous book, which I pray nobody buys. Go ahead, play it.
Lead and a brand new excerpt from my upcoming book with Axios' Alex Thompson. It's called Original Sin. It's coming out next Tuesday, May 20th. Right now, we're going to reveal some new details about how some of the most important figures in the Biden administration were kept away from President Biden during the second half of his term. We spoke with 3 different cabinet secretaries who told us that Biden's inner circle shielded the president from them in 2023 and 2024. The cabinet secretaries were no longer even directly briefing the president in any regular way. Instead, they briefed senior White House aides who would then speak to Biden. And in the rare instances these secretaries did see him, one cabinet secretary told me that Biden was, quote, disoriented and, quote, out of it, with other sources saying that in meetings, Biden would, quote, occasionally be mumbling and not making much sense. Quote, the presidency requires someone who can perform at 2 a.m. during an emergency, we write in the book. Cabinet secretaries in his own administration told us that by 2024, he could not be relied upon for this. These new details coming on the heels of 2 excerpts released yesterday, one first in the New Yorker, revealing that President Biden did not recognize George Clooney at a 2024 fundraiser, despite personally knowing him for more than 15 years, and Clooney's international fame as a movie star, not to mention the fact he was headlining the fundraiser. The other excerpt, first published in Axios, detailing how aides were privately discussing putting Biden in a wheelchair for his potential second term because of his physical deterioration, and especially in case there was another fall.
All right. Well, hold it right there. First of all, he's leaking out excerpts on a daily basis saying, we'll have more tomorrow. That's not journalism. If you have a story, if you have a scoop, you put it out there as soon as possible. You break news. You don't trickle it out so that you can sell more books and make more money. Shame on CNN for allowing this stunt. Secondly, the wheelchair thing is a ruse. Here's why. He wants you to think that they were ready to put Biden in a wheelchair. Now, that's no surprise to anybody. That's what happens when you're 82 and you have dementia and likely Parkinson's. You end up in a wheelchair. I've lived through it. It is a sad reality of some people when they get to be that age. But it also lets him off the hook for something else. If you're in a wheelchair and you're lucid, you're sharp, you can still perform the duties of the office. If you actually have cognitive issues, you can't. So we want you to think, yeah, it's not our fault. We thought he was sharp. We didn't know he was going to end up in a wheelchair. He could have been president in a wheelchair. What were we going to say about that? We're going to say, so he can't walk. He can still think he's FDR. You know, he's another Democrat hero. He's FDR. So it lets him off the hook at that level. But it's also so absurd to think that they talked to 3 cabinet secretaries and they didn't tell the truth until November 5th. Now, these are friends of Jake's. He's DC. He's a swamp creature. He knows them all. He knows what they thought, what they saw long before November 5th, but he kept it under his hat. That is a fact. He is a liar. He knew this. He claims they didn't tell me these things until after the election. That is a lie. He's lying to his audience every day. It is just so beneath contempt what this scoundrel is doing. And we shouldn't let him be off the hook. No one should buy this book. No one should give him credit. First of all, I don't think he did a damn thing. The other guy, the Axios guy, another liar who covered up for Biden for years until he could make money. He did all the work. He did all the reporting. Jake slapped his name on it. They knew he could use his forum on CNN to push the book, to sell the book. And now he teases, oh, we'll have more tomorrow. You can't do that. This is the biggest scandal, political scandal we've ever seen. And he's teasing it. We'll get to it later in the week. Maybe we'll push it on some other show. Maybe we'll give a little to the New York Times and give a little to Atlantic, and maybe we'll tell the New Yorker something next week. That's not what a journalist does. This clown claims to be a journalist. He does it every day. He talks about all his hard-hitting reporting. That's not reporting. If it were reporting, you would have reported it the day you heard it, November 5th, or more likely, long before that. If you were a real reporter, here's how unethical this guy is. Here's what a liar he is. There's no doubt that they knew some of these things, with the wheelchair thing, the Clooney thing, didn't recognize Jake Sullivan. One fact in the book said they were concerned. They told him he couldn't have his mouth agape in the debates because he would sometimes just let his mouth hang open and drool. So they knew this. The debate was in June. They knew this. They knew it months, maybe 6 months, maybe a year. And they sat on it until they could make money and until they were sure that their guy would not be reelected. And another thing, he claims they all lied to him, right? They all lied. KJP, the White House, they all lied. Well, wouldn't you have a problem with that? If you're a journalist and someone lied to you repeatedly while you were trying to do your job, you know what I would do if that were me? I'd burn them. You owe them nothing. You don't owe them anonymity. If they lied to you for years, over and over again, you're going to cover for them, protect them? Why? You owe them. You don't owe them anonymity at that point. You owe your audience the truth. And the truth is, these people lied to you, and you should tell us who they are. Oh, we talked to 3 cabinet secretaries, and they put cabinet secretary number 1, cabinet secretary number 2. Who are they? The election's over. Biden's done. We don't get to find out who exactly saw him when he didn't recognize George Clooney or Jake Sullivan. We don't get to find out who thought he belonged in a wheelchair. Why? Why do they get to remain anonymous now? You could have promised them anonymity, but you know what happens when someone lies to you? All bets are off. That's how it works. You owe them nothing. And yet He's protecting them because they're protecting him, and they're all in the same little deep state swamp together. That's his job. They want him. They want Jake Sullivan and Alex Thompson and the rest of these authors. They want him to destroy Biden because they want Biden to go away. They want to move on. That's the new mantra from Democrats. If they're asked about Biden, you saw it from Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and all of them yesterday. We're moving forward. We're not going back. We're looking forward. That's their new thing. They're not going to talk about it because they're moving forward. But they're all co-conspirators. They all participated in the cover-up, and they should be outed. They knew. We knew. Sitting in our living rooms and watching our TV, we knew. And yet they lied, covered up, and they for political benefit. And now Jake Tapper wants you to think, well, we're not going to name them. We don't need to know their names. We don't need to know who participated in the biggest cover-up in American political history. Those people, we're not going to know. We're not going to name. We're not going to find out. Some journalist you are, Jake. You are quite the journalist. What a joke. Once again, please, I beg you, do one thing for me. Do not buy this book. Nobody should buy this book. Let this clown release his little excerpts and tease it and beg for publicity. Do not buy this book. If you want to read it, here's what you should do. Go to Barnes & Noble and steal it. What do you think? Shoplift? Yeah. Just get online. There'll be plenty of excerpts released if you're really curious. Do not give this weasel your money.
Use your Audible points to get it for free.
How do you do that?
If you have an Audible account, after a certain amount of time, you can get a free book. Use it on that.
As long as he doesn't benefit, it's gonna be on the bestseller list because that's what they do. They, New York Times, everything on their bestseller list is based on politics. And if it's Ann Coulter, she doesn't get on the list. If it's Jake Tapper, he will get on the list. So he'll be on the list. He'll probably sit down with 60 Minutes, Good Morning America, and The View, and none of them will ask, Jake, why did you sit on this? You knew this. None of them. They won't ask him tough questions because they're all in on it. It's incredible. Well, at least it gave CNN a brief reprieve from talking about the Qatari plane, that the plane they're giving Donald Trump. By the way, as I said yesterday, I've changed my mind. Initially, I thought this was a little unsavory, unnecessary. It was a distraction. It is driving the media insane. They're ignoring what Trump's doing in the Middle East, and all they're talking about is the plane. You actually had Hillary Clinton yesterday criticizing Trump for accepting a gift from a foreign government. Yes. Talk about the height of chutzpah. Hillary Clinton, who took tens of millions of dollars from every emir and prince and king and mullah in the Middle East, took money, for her foundation, and said, no, we're not giving them anything in return. What a joke. Honest to God, go for it, Donald. Take the plane. By the way, the plane's not going to be ready for like a year probably to get outfitted and all the technology. And then, then Trump only gets it for a year. And that's it. I don't think it's worth it for Trump to go to do this. But like I said, I base everything on how crazy it drives the media. And this is driving them insane. You know what else is driving them insane? Trump is reshaping, remaking, resetting the Middle East. I watched this today. He arrived at UAE. Can you get that video of him arriving at UAE? And I do have one big concern, as we talked about yesterday. I felt it even more today when I got up, saw the video of him arriving in the United Arab Emirates. And again, he's walking through, like they have the carpet. I don't know if it was red or whatever. They have the carpet laid out. Can you get that video, please? I want to get the color of the carpet correct. And he's surrounded. He's got obviously whatever he is, the emir, the prince is with him. He's walking, and there are men lined up like soldiers on both sides. Here it is. What do you notice about the people who are lining the carpet? It's not red, it's beige. But you got cameramen, you got the leaders of UAE walking with them. Trump, by the way, doesn't even look tired. He's a machine. What do you notice along the route? There are dozens, if not hundreds, of guys with guns. I don't know. Is it me? Look at this guy right in front of the first photo. Is that a real rifle? It looks like an antique. But he's walking through this assembly of guys holding rifles. I don't know. It doesn't feel like security is completely airtight. Maybe that's me. Maybe it's the Secret Service is all over the place. Maybe these are toy guns. But this feels risky. He's almost done. I'm pretty sure nothing will happen. But this took balls. You know, that for 3 days going into the Middle East, the first president to visit Qatar in 25 years, the first president to visit the UAE in 30 years. And you know what the feeling you get when you watch this, when you watch him sign these deals and you watch him shake hands and you watch him meet the new leader of Syria, who was in Al-Qaeda, who spent time in Abu Ghraib, who was a terrorist. And he shook his hand, and then he talked about how attractive he is, which is weird, but he talked about how it was a good meeting. It just feels like war is much less likely. There are a lot of goals. He's trying to get investment in the U.S. He's trying to sell arms. He's trying to isolate Iran. He's trying to pull Syria away from Russia. He's defying Benjamin Netanyahu to an extent. He's trying to get them to sign the Abraham Accords. He's got a lot of goals here. But to me, the feeling you get, and maybe I'm wrong, is it's much less likely that we will find ourselves in another stupid, pointless foreign war. And there's a lot of reasons to support Trump. There's a lot of reasons we voted for him. That's among the top. I mean, it really is. I know border was number one. The economy was important. But I said this, 20 years ago. I will never, ever support another stupid war in Iraq, in the Middle East, in Iran. I just won't. It wasn't worth it. We've lived through it. We watched what George W. Bush did. We've seen the American soldiers and Marines come home with their legs blown off. We've seen the death, the destruction, the cost. That can never happen again. And what Trump did the last 3 days is make that much less likely. He wants them to know he's there to promote commerce, not conflict, to promote trade, not terror. And that's the best message. As he said, we played it yesterday, said 2 days ago, he will let God judge you. He's there to promote American interests. That's why he's shaking hands with the former Al-Qaeda guy. That's why he's lifting sanctions on Syria. That's why he's sitting down with the head of Qatar, even though Hamas leaders live in their capital city. He wants these people to understand they could get rich. They could all literally live like kings. They have the oil. They have the resources. Why continue to fight and die when you can all live happily ever after? That's the simple message. And to me, it resonated. Maybe I'm being duped here, but it feels like he is deterring the next stupid war in the Middle East. We'll see what happens with Iran, but it feels more likely that he makes a deal with Iran, more likely that countries sign the Abraham Accords and stop firing missiles at Israel. It feels like they're all going to listen to him and say, you know what? We could all just get along, get rich. We don't have to die. We don't have to fight. That's the best message. By the way, he sat down in Qatar and Boeing, the head of Boeing, CEO of Boeing, signed a deal for 210 jets worth $96 billion. I watched this and I said, you're going to turn around and say, let's blow up a school bus after you signed a deal for 210 jets to buy from Boeing? These people understand. They're living literally like kings. They have the oil. They have the resources. Why not make the most of it? But that's the impression I get. It feels like an extremely successful trip. We'll see what happens today as Ukraine and Russia meet in Turkey. Putin apparently is not going to be there. Trump is not going to go there. And Marco, who's been great, is going to try to get a deal done once again. And then what will they say? That's kind of the theme of the last, 115 days. What are they going to say now? The border's closed. He did it. What do you say now? We're getting terrorists out. What are you going to say? We're getting a deal in the Middle East. The tariffs apparently aren't destroying the economy. We're not in a recession. What do you say now? Well, we got answers to that because, man, the Democrats' parade of idiots and clowns was on display yesterday like I've never seen before. It was a day of, if you're a Democrat, to just hang your head in shame. We got some of the examples. Oh, and Democrats, media, they're still upset that 59 people from South Africa are now being given asylum in the U.S. Happy people waving their American flags. They're upset for one reason and one reason only. They're white. It's perhaps the most blatant example of just abject racism I've ever seen. We'll get to the latest on that and much more, but first.
Excuse me.
Is the U.S. dollar in trouble? We're living in unpredictable times with digital currencies on the rise, a $35 trillion national debt, and inflation still at a 40-year high. Tesla billionaire Elon Musk has warned that the U.S. dollar is heading for destruction and that these factors could bankrupt the U.S. Financial experts are urging Americans to prepare right now. That's why you should strongly consider physical gold and silver to help protect your accounts like IRAs and 401ks. Preserve Gold is giving away a free precious metal guide that contains essential information on how to help protect your accounts. Just text the word Newsmax to 50505. Learn how you can put physical gold and silver into an IRA or a 401k and even purchase precious metals for delivery directly to your home. Preserve Gold has hundreds of 5-star reviews and millions of dollars in trusted transactions with satisfied clients. As an exclusive offer to our listeners, in addition to the free guide, you can also get up to $15,000 in free gold and silver with a qualified purchase. So don't wait. Text Newsmax to 50505 to claim this exclusive offer from Preserve Gold today. Not a good day for Democrats on the Hill. Every time they have these hearings, I'm sorry, they're extremely entertaining. And if you're a Democrat, extremely humiliating. You are not sending your best. Let's start with Sri Tenadar, where this cartoon character came out of the blue about 2 weeks ago when he announced he was filing articles of impeachment against Trump, and everybody just looked and said, where did they get this guy? He's an immigrant from India. He's 70 years old. He has a really bad wig. He has a really bad history. He ran a company that tortured beagles and monkeys. And when the company went bankrupt, he let them, his plan was to let them starve. He left the animals in cages to starve to death. Heroic animal rights activists literally climbed the fence at his building, at his plant, and freed the dogs. He's an awful, rotten, horrible human being. I don't think you need to know any more. But he filed articles of impeachment, and nobody listened. It was amazing. They impeached Trump twice for nothing. So we don't really need a standard to impeach Trump. All you do is need a crazy Democrat. But they don't have the House anymore. When they had the House, they could make up a thing and say, oh, he had a phone call with Zelensky. Let's impeach him. And all the Democrats, as usual, fall in line, vote to impeach. They impeach, send it to the Senate. It dies. After he left office, same thing. Oh, January 6th, let's impeach him. But he told them to go patriotically and peacefully. Doesn't matter. We'll have a sham committee and we'll impeach him. And they did because they had the House. They don't have the House. So this is pointless. And even Democrats know it. But this idiot apparently didn't know that he didn't have the votes, and he wanted to raise his profile and get famous, and he did. Here he is. Is this him announcing that he's going forward with the impeachment?
Yeah, and he tells us about 18 times.
Oh, that's right. And then we'll get to the latest. It didn't work. Sorry, Sri. Good.
Impeaching Donald John Trump, President of the United States, for high crimes and misdemeanors. Resolution impeaching Donald John Trump, President of the United States, for high crimes and misdemeanors. Resolved that Donald John Trump, President of the United States, is impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors.
You said that already, Sri.
The following articles.
He doesn't say one thing.
There are people in Michigan who voted for this. It's just, I know I say this every day. I think this every day. Who votes for these people? Here he was yesterday, I believe, after finding out it's not going to work, that even in the crazy Democrat Party of today, he didn't have any support. In fact, they were mocking him more than the Republicans were. Here's a quote from a House Democrat to Axios. "This is the dumbest effing thing. Utterly selfish behavior." A fourth House Democrat, "What a dumb shit." A fifth Democrat said he's irrelevant and it will not succeed. Another House Democrat said it's a waste of effing time. He didn't get any support even among these Trump haters in the House. They wanted nothing to do with it. Here he got like this small crowd of just weirdos and freaks. If you can get a wider shot, you could see it. It looks like, it looks like the bus from Cuckoo's Nest, just these weirdos that have nothing better to do. But let's listen to him after he's kind of finding out it's not working.
But they talk about my hair. They talk about my hair. They talk about my appearance. They talk about where I was born. They talk about everything, my looks. They talk about my age. They talk about why I should be deported back to the country where I was born. They talk about my past business dealings and they distort my business record. They do everything.
I don't think that's not a Simpsons character. That is not a South Park character. That's a congressman. A congressman. I'm going to look up how many people voted for this. It's just mind-boggling. I understand there's Democrats, they don't have a lot to choose from. Sri Thanadar beat his opponent in 2024. He got 44,546 votes, 55% of the votes in the Democrat primary in a Democrat district, and then won easily in the general. He won in a landslide. What kind of losers were running against him? But he debated, he campaigned, and people said, yeah, that's who I want representing me. That's just one. It was a very humiliating day, as I said, on Capitol Hill for Democrats. We had hearings, and I don't know. With Trump's team, the hearings are always good. They're all combative. They know that's what Trump wants. That's why he picked them. They're all fighters. RFK had a long hearing where he went back and forth, and it was really, it was really intense and confrontational. And he just kept giving it right back, and they kept interrupting. And Kristi Noem was up on Capitol Hill, and she was battling. Can we just show Debbie Dingell, Congresswoman from Michigan, I believe, another Michigan representative. We don't have a lot of sound from Debbie Dingell, but we do have video. Here she is, completely asleep during the hearing. And we're not talking about leaning your head forward where you could pretend to be looking at something. She is kicking back and snoozing away. That is a video of a congresswoman during a hearing. We had these people.
That's what you look like when you kick your feet up on an ottoman and just relax.
And she must be snoring. A number of people, I tweeted this, a number of people said there's 3 water bottles in front of her, and they have the theory that at least one of them is not water. That's a bottle of vodka. And and this is a woman passed out. She's not the only one. In her defense, there's a bunch of Congress people who've been caught snoozing, but they work 2 days a week. They work 10 days a month. This is the laziest, most useless Congress. Mike Johnson is an absolute weak, pathetic, spineless jellyfish. He's doing nothing to enact Trump's agenda, to codify Trump's executive orders, to codify Doge into law. They're doing nothing. They are worthless. So Republicans are as bad as Democrats, but at least most of the Republicans are awake. I shouldn't say they're bad. They're as bad as many Democrats, but nobody is worse than Dan Goldman. This just absolute repulsive congresswoman. He's a heir to the Levi Strauss fortune. He bought himself a seat in Congress, and he's just such a slime. He's such a liar. But this is remarkable. I watched this Kristi Noem hearing, one Democrat after another. They have the head of Homeland Security. It's supposed to be about the budget, by the way, but they made it about what else? Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Kilmar Abrego Garcia was detained 61 days ago and shipped to El Salvador, his home country. Every day since, they've talked about bringing him back. Every day since, we've learned more and more about what a scumbag he is. We know he's an MS-13 gang member. We know he beat up his wife. We know she took out restraining orders. We know he participated in human trafficking. We don't want people like that here. Unless you're an elected Democrat, then he is a darling, and you will do anything you can to get him back. Here is Dan Goldman, again, grilling Kristi Noem. When are you going to bring him back? And she answers the way every Republican answers, Goldman, he's never coming back. He's not coming back. There's no scenario by which you get your guy back, Dan Goldman, but they just can't quit him. Watch this.
Mr. Abrego Garcia, pursuant to this court order.
It's got to be extremely discouraging to be one of your constituents. To see you fight for a terrorist like this and not fight for them is extremely alarming to me.
I'm fighting for due process, and that's under the Constitution.
Gentleman's
you
time
should
has
fight
expired.
due process.
You're fighting for due process. He's had extensive due process. We've gone over it so many times. 2 judges, an immigration judge, an appellate judge, ICE, the county sheriff, the human trafficking stop in Tennessee, the restraining orders from his wife. He's had more than enough due process. Nobody wants him here except Democrats in Congress. They just can't let it go. And Eric Swalwell, another embarrassment, spent his time talking about the tattoos on his knuckles, screaming about the tattoos on his knuckles and how Trump was wrong. Tattoos on his knuckles. Noam pointed it out. That's one of like a dozen pieces of evidence that prove he's a gangbanger, and they just can't move on. I don't know who's advising them, but it's just such a joke. And let's finally,
Nobody's advising them, and that's the problem.
Hakeem Jeffries is a fool. I mean, he allows this. Yeah, you go in there and you just spend your 5 minutes talking about the MS-13 gangbanger and trying to get him back. We want him back. What? Throw Rose DeLauro up there because RFK had a great exchange with her. We don't have to listen to her, but it just will never cease to amaze me that the voters of New Haven, Connecticut, and I know there's a lot of morons who go to Yale and teach at Yale down there, but every 2 years, they send this bag lady back to Congress. She's 82 years old, I believe. She is not well. She has purple hair. She wears like a canvas bag as a shawl. She's just, what do other countries, when you're sitting in Europe or Asia and you see this, you say, wait, that woman was elected? People want that person? She looks like she should have a shopping cart full of empties next to her. Maybe she does. But here she is ranting incoherently at RFK because he doesn't have the authority to reshape the Department of Health and Human Services. He wants to consolidate. He explained they have like 72 public information offices and it's all wasteful. He's trying to save money, so he's consolidating. That's what he's doing. He explained it perfectly, and she just can't handle it. Let's just listen to the bag lady.
You do not have the authority to do what you are doing. Congressman Hoyer pointed out that very clearly and explicitly. You don't have the authority. This administration does not have this authority. You're reorganizing of the NIH. You don't have the authority. That is in the jurisdiction of the United States Congress. You want to eliminate 5 agencies. You want to create a new agency. Once again, I don't mean to be repetitive, but I do mean to be repetitive. You do not have the authority.
Every Democrat accused RFK Jr. of cutting Medicaid. They just kept saying, we're not. We're eliminating waste. We have millions of healthy, able-bodied men stealing Medicaid. We're trying to get them off. We have illegal aliens stealing Medicaid. And they just say, that's not true. You're cutting Medicaid. You're hurting the poor. And then you had the bag lady going on about, you don't have the authority. And he says to her, it was great, a great moment. He says, you know what? You've talked for 30 years about getting dyes out of food. I did it in 100 days. Why don't you give me some credit? And she just sat there like mouth agape. Yes, she's 82 years old, and people in Connecticut keep sending her back to Congress. I know I don't have a lot of, let's see. Her last election, she won with 59% of the vote, 193,000 votes, beat her opponent by almost 20 points. Yes, that's who people in Connecticut want representing them. It will never stop being amazing to me. All right, we got more to get to. I want to get to this South Africa story because nothing has revealed the true colors of Democrats in the media than Donald Trump. And again, brilliant move by Trump, granting asylum to 59 South African farmers and their families because they were facing death and real persecution and real oppression. And it just pisses off the media and the Democrats because they're white. That's it. That's all. We'll get to that. Oh, and Bruce Springsteen. Speaking of people riding on the rim, 75-year-old Bruce Springsteen went overseas to denounce his country. And I have some questions for Bruce. We'll get to that too. But first.
Excuse me.
Are you a yo-yo dieter? You diet, you lose weight, you gain it all back, plus a few extra pounds. Then later you lose it, regain it again and again and again. It's dangerous. You know this. Studies show that you can increase your risk of heart attack, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and other health problems. Breaking free of your yo-yo diet pattern is a main reason doctors created Lean. Lean is a supplement, not an injection, and you don't need a prescription. The science behind Lean is impressive. It's studied natural ingredients target weight loss in 3 powerful ways. Lean helps maintain healthy blood sugar. It helps control appetite and cravings, and it helps burn fat by converting fat into energy. Listen, if you're tired of losing weight and gaining it back, if you want to lose meaningful weight at a healthy pace, Lean was created for you. Let me get you started with 20% off when you enter Newsmax20 at takelean.com. That's code Newsmax20 at takelean.com. All right, we told you about this yesterday. On January 25th, the president of South Africa signed into law a bill that allows the government to confiscate land from white farmers and give it to black farmers. You don't get more racist than that. These aren't people who were in the government, who were elected leaders during apartheid. They're young. Many of them are children. But somehow the Democrats, the media, rationalize this by saying, yeah, in apartheid, it was white-controlled government and they persecuted black people. So 35 years later, it's okay to kill white farmers. And they've killed many. They kill, I think it's 1 every 5 days. A white farmer gets murdered and his land gets stolen. I would say that's the definition of persecution and oppression. I would say they have a legitimate case to seek asylum, unlike the 10 to 15 million asylum seekers that Biden let in the country. It is just remarkable to hear the people who didn't mind at all when Biden literally sent government jets to Haiti and Venezuela and Honduras, and flew people into the country and resettled them with no vetting and no legitimate asylum claim, put them in neighborhoods just to change the electorate. That's what he did. And the media didn't mind. Democrats didn't mind. They supported it. The judges, district court judges didn't stop him. Trump brings in 59 white South Africans who come in here trying to avoid getting murdered and having their land stolen. I assume they had their land stolen, but they're coming here, resettling them. Look at them. I want to play this video every day. This is who we want. Forget the skin color. They're waving American flags. They're families. They're happy. They're not military-age men storming over the border, overrunning Border Patrol agents, demanding hotel rooms and Ubers and healthcare and food. They're waving American flags, smiling, showing real gratitude. That's what asylum is for. People like this. Forget what color they are. They're going to assimilate. They're going to work. I have no doubt. But it doesn't matter. They're white. So so Democrats, the media are upset about this, to the point where the Episcopal Church, this is just a remarkable development. The Episcopal Church is a radical left-wing atheist organization. Nobody actually believes these people believe in God. If you go to buy an Episcopal church, there's trans flags and Black Lives Matter and every other virtue signal. We saw that minister or whatever she was in Trump's inauguration, just vilifying Trump for all his policies, standing up there with a rainbow collar. You know, she's a fraud. She lives in a big mansion in D.C. and gets millions, or at least they got millions from the federal government to resettle immigrants. They want no part of that anymore because they refuse to resettle white people. Yes, if you're an Episcopalian, this is your church. This is their official stance. We don't want any part of this because they're white. This is a bishop for the Episcopalian Church just saying the quiet part out loud. Nope, we're not going to do it. We're not going to help white people. Check this out.
Of course, this was a 4 decades old relationship across many administrations that was ended abruptly today. Why did the classification of these immigrants as refugees cross a moral line?
Well, the reality is we can't be ourselves in the Episcopal Church and take the step of resettling white Afrikaners from South Africa. Our church has a long commitment to racial justice and reconciliation, and we have historic ties with the Anglican Church of South Africa. Desmond Tutu is a part of, been a partner in this work for us. So we're just not able to take this step. It's not in line with anything that we're about, and it also saddens us to see that other refugees who are being denied entrance to the United States are people, brave people who've worked alongside of our military in Iraq and Afghanistan, now face danger, have been in camps for a long time and aren't being allowed in. And so this is just, the program no longer aligns with where we are as a church and what we're about.
The program no longer aligns. So after they helped tens of millions of fake refugees into the country, resettle, help them get all the benefits, the lawyers, the interpreters, they can't do this. They can't help 59 white people because they're white. And it's amazing how they just casually blame these young white South Africans for what happened 35, 40, 50 years ago. Like, when did we become North Korea? You're going to blame white children for apartheid? It's their fault? Let's punish them. Let's kill them. Let's take their land. Let's persecute them because their ancestors did something we don't like. Let's base it all on race. This is sick. This is evil. This man, Sean Rowe, Episcopalian bishop with his clerical collar on, that is the face of evil right there. And what's happening in South Africa is evil. And we're going to hear more about this because this guy, this president of South Africa, is supposed to come to the White House. And I'm guessing Trump is going to point out that he has a little problem with this. He called the president of South Africa. Here he is. He calls the people who resettled to the U.S., because they didn't want to die, cowards. He signed a law to take their land. He looks the other way as they're murdered. And when they seek refuge in a free country, they're cowards. Listen to this.
When you run away, you're a coward. And that's a real cowardly act.
You're a coward. He's upset that they escaped oppression. He was looking forward to, sticking another white cross in the land for another dead farmer. By the way, I wanted to mention this. The way they cover the story is just remarkable. Every headline, and there's like dozens of them, NBC News headline, white South Africans, Reuters, AP, in the headline, they point out that these refugees are white. We just watched for 4 years as refugees, alleged fake asylum seekers, came into the country. Not one headline. There it is. This is NBC. White South Africans arrive in U.S. Did you ever see a headline that said black Haitians or brown Venezuelans arrive in the U.S.? It didn't matter. It wasn't an issue what race they were, what color they were. But now, every single story, every headline, white South Africans. Do we have time for this TikToker? Because the internet, they're just full of people really upset about this, that a handful of South Africans, 59, after 15 to 20 million people invaded this country, they're upset at 59. This is a sickness. This really is. This is the fault of Barack Obama and BLM and the mainstream media, who for the last 10, 15 years have made everything about race. Everything is about your immutable characteristics. And they see these refugees, they see them waving the flag, they see little children smiling, and they say, we're going to get them. Literally, we're going to get them. Check, this woman has 116,000 followers on TikTok. And she's telling them, you better keep your head on a swivel, South African children. We're coming to get you. Listen to this.
Good morning. This is for the South Africans who are going to be entering the United States. This is just a public service announcement. I just wanted to make you aware that the Black people who were students during apartheid, we're grandmas and grandpas now, and we have the ear of Gen Z. One more thing, I also want to let you know that our president, he has Secret Service, and you will not. I also want to tell you that Black people over here are empowered. These are just public service announcements. When you get here, sit your ass down and don't touch nothing, because you don't have Secret Service. Okay.
Unbelievable.
Now have the day you deserve.
Black people over here are empowered. What do you think they are in South Africa, lady? So you better watch yourself. That is just evil. The whole concept of let's get these people because their ancestors were racist. Let's get them. We'll bring in people that practice voodoo from Haiti. That's no problem. But people who came from South Africa where they used to have apartheid, who want to work, contribute, assimilate, we don't want you here. All right, before we go, we have time for Bruce. Yes, Bruce Springsteen, who I used to love. I still love his music. It's a shame. It's a shame to watch this happen to some of our all-time greats like Robert De Niro and Bruce Springsteen. He's in England. It used to be a rule. You don't dump on your own country when you go overseas, but not Bruce. I have a question, but listen for Bruce. But first, let's play him as he tells England, he tells Europe how much he hates his country. Check it out.
The mighty Street Band is here tonight to call upon the righteous power of art, of music, of rock and roll in dangerous times. In my home, the America I love, the America I've written about, that has been a beacon of hope and liberty for 250 years is currently in the hands of a corrupt, incompetent, and treasonous Tonight, we ask all who believe in democracy and the best of our American spirit to rise with us, raise your voices against authoritarianism, and let freedom ring.
Right. He wants you to rise up and use your voices against authoritarianism and let freedom ring. I have the same question for all these people, for De Niro, for Rosie O'Donnell and Ellen DeGeneres and all these people who are saying they're moving and they're leaving and they hate it. What happened to you? Like, what did Trump do to you? Show us on the doll where he hurt you, Bruce. What freedom did you lose? How did he hurt you? What is happening in your life that is so awful because Trump was elected? Could you name one thing, Bruce? Did you lose some freedom? What happened? Do you not want secure borders? Do you not want, prosperity? Do you not want more jobs in the U.S.? Do you not want peace in the Middle East? Why are you upset? He would never answer that. He would never have the guts to actually debate that because he couldn't. It's all emotion, and Trump makes him feel icky. He doesn't like the way he talks. What specifically has set you off? And you'll get nothing. You'll get nothing. It's a shame. It's sad. It's sad to watch these greats. He's 75 years old, and he's bitter, and he's angry, and he's upset that I don't know that Trump's doing something that he doesn't like. He's an authoritarian. He's corrupt. He's dangerous. Dangerous. He's trying his best to keep us out of war. You used to be a big anti-war guy. You were the biggest anti-Vietnam voice. Well, he's right now trying to stop war, trying to prevent war. I don't know. That used to be a good thing. And you used to be a great, great, great performer, singer. But I don't know anymore, man. I think you've lost it. He's broken you, just like he's broken De Niro and broken Ellen DeGeneres and everyone else. But all right, that will do it for today. Day 3 of Trump's whirlwind tour. We're going to see more and more news coming out, and I have a good feeling about it. He's changing things as we speak. And the stock market is doing okay. You'll be okay, Bruce. Your investments, your $500 million that you made selling your musical library, I think you'll be okay, Bruce. Just relax, enjoy it. You're going to be okay. But that will do it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we'll do it again tomorrow.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. And since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.